This content is about fear and phobias and not recommended if you're easily triggered.
Anyone else have a phobia of certain songs, music? I suffered from an intense phobia of Stravinsky's The Rite of Spring for a decade and a half. It started when I was 7 and ended with very slow self-directed exposure therapy in my early 20s. Not sure what it is about the piece that got to me. I discovered it through Fantasia, which has a pretty unique scoring compared to other recordings. And even though I've recovered from my fear for the most part, the Fantasia version still bothers me from time to time, as it was the only version I knew as a child, and therefore the worst version. And it tends to flare up. I just started taking fluoxetine and Ritalin together for anxiety, depression, OCD, and ADHD, and it's dredging up some old fears ATM, including this one. I have it on my iTunes, and I'm catching myself being anxious of being on shuffle or muting YouTube and my computer before I browse in case the piece autoplays or something. Dumb, I know. When the phobia was bad, it was bad. My worst fear as a 7-year-old was the idea of being trapped in a room with the piece playing and having no way to turn it off. Thinking about it, or getting it stuck in my head, especially at night, would send me into intense panic attacks where I'd grey out, drool, shake, etc. Not nearly that bad now, though last night at 2 a.m. I rolled over, one of the parts of the piece that freaked me out the most popped into my head, and I sat up in bed instantly. Took everything in my power not to shake my husband awake just to have someone to distract me. I overcame it in my early 20s by watching the actual ballet on mute, and then listening either to jazzy covers or piano transcriptions, because they would sound so radically different compared to the original. Thinking about how I used to enjoy the piece as a toddler, infant, also makes me feel intensely uncomfortable sometimes. Anyone else have something similar?
I have no idea what my phobia is called. I have always had this phobia for as long as I can remember, and I'm not too sure what it stems from either. I'm also not exactly sure how to word this, so it makes sense to everyone else, but I'll try my best. Certain noises freak me out when on repeat, like the sound of a drum being hit in a repeated pattern. The constant beat of it staying the same, almost like someone walking upstairs, and it never ends. The best example I can give is actually on Tyler, the Creator's Instagram LOL. He posted a video of his new album, and in this video, posted on October 16th, captioned, "First Chroma," if you wanted to look it up, and the repeated stomping noise that freaks me out. It's not always a stomping noise that freaks me out either. Just the fact one sound is repeating at the same beat and frequency and never ends, like a loop of it. I tried looking it up online and it came up with misophonia, which I don't think really fits with my phobia since it's not like clicking of a pen or chewing loud that bothers me. I don't know, the repeating sounds drives me crazy and puts my body into a shock of fear. The synchronicity in the Tyler, the Creator video also makes me really, really uneasy. The way all of them are in sync, stomping together, is so uncanny to me. IDK, how to explain it? Please help me out if you can. And LMK2, if any of you have this phobia as well. Feel free to ask any more questions if needed. Thank you.
Fear of things being wrong. Was going to go to sleep tonight, plugged in my charger like usual, and sat my phone down. Suddenly, a new and aggressive beeping came from my phone. As I checked it, there was a large wall of text. Skimming it for the way to get that over with as fast as possible, I unplugged my phone and hit OK. Cable's probably bad. It said there's moisture or dirt, whatever. I'm not sleeping now. There have been a few posts here about fear of warnings and the like, but a lot of people seem to be more scared of warning signs or of the consequences of the warning, like a nuclear war siren indicating danger or an amber alert, and the associated sadness and cruelty. It always strikes at the worst times for me, and it's always unpredictable. I'll try my best to explain a few of the most notable things that have fucked me up. Only got 15% battery, after all. Tonight. The alert still chokes me up even thinking about it. Dangerous. Remove charger now. It is not safe. Something is inherently wrong with this situation. The norm has been upset. Again, I'm not worried about the charger itself or whatever negligible danger I was actually in. The warning itself fucked me up. As a kid, video game creepypastas really got to me. I spent an entire day refusing to get out of bed because Buried Alive was absolutely going to grab my legs and get me. The existence of a white hand as a Pokemon shouldn't be happening. Creepy. A game over screen? Unheard of. Terrifying. Lavender town music kills people. Music shouldn't be able to do that. Shivers. Now, I watch a lot of analog horror but it's the only stuff that's actually scary to me. The ones that always hit the worst, or best, are the ones that can reconcile their existence with reality just enough that it seems like it's all okay, until it's horrible. The original Mandela catalog stuff got me good. Vita Carnis messes me up repeatedly, especially the video with the harvester, with the family pictures. Fake EAS alert scenarios screw with me on a basis of it having authority from the real situations. All these things kind of share one thing in common, that being the fear of just slightly incorrect things. Anyone else have this? How did you beat it, if you have? TLDR, I get scared by warnings, imperfect replacements, and errors of things. Help?
Did anyone else grow up with a fear of electronics not working properly? To clarify, I grew up being very scared of electronics malfunctioning, just not working properly. It was a common theme in my childhood nightmares, and I remember being scared of similar things while awake also. I consider it to have been my biggest childhood phobia. More specifically, I was very afraid of discs skipping, repeating music, VHS and other forms of physical media being distorted due to being worn or damaged. Toys and musical cards having low batteries and sounding distorted as a result. Malfunctioning toys, robots, a common theme in my childhood nightmares. Scenes of cartoons and stuff that had been edited. Think of those YouTube poops from the 2000s, and bad computer glitches. It was mostly to do with them not sounding right and therefore seeming scary to younger me. This isn't something that really affects me to this day beyond a mild discomfort with opening musical cards that have been stored for a while and playing worn VHS tapes, though I think that's just concern that they might damage my VCR, not a fear that they'll sound distorted. Though I wouldn't class it as a phobia for me anymore, as it no longer makes me very anxious. I wonder if it helped that I used to sometimes look videos up on YouTube of low battery toys, worn and distorted VHS and cassette tapes and glitches once I was in my pre-teens to see if they still freaked me out. Has anyone else ever been afraid of electronics not working as they should? And if so, does it still affect you, or did you find it affected you less over time like I did?
Is there a name for the fear of TVs turning on by themselves? Black screens? I have had this fear since I was a kid that my TV would turn on by itself and display something creepy or make a weird sound in the middle of the night. Is there a name for this? If so, is this a common fear or a more uncommon one?
Fear of video game glitches and Google Maps. I was playing the Minecraft AI game on oasis.descartes.ai. Essentially, an AI that has seen tons of Minecraft will decide what to put the next frame as from its memory and the last frame. It has the standard Minecraft controls. It works very similar to normal Minecraft as well. Basically, you can look at something, look away, and it changes. The inventory system barely works, and sometimes you get random items. Like I placed a fence and it turned into a bunch of fences and planks all around me. After a minute, I had to look away instantly. I saw some kind of mob that was really buggy. It didn't even look like a mob at all. I saw something again and it literally scared me really bad. Also, some other stuff made me uncomfortable too. This happens a lot in certain games, in normal Minecraft, Bedrock. I heard of the stripe lands where the generation and game breaks, putting a bunch of stripes of blocks. I fell through the ground because the collision stops and a bunch of blocks flashed on the screen. I had to turn the game off. Similarly on Java, when you go further out in 1.12 blocks, get distorted, and I really can't look at it. It's not a kind of fear, more so it's uncomfortable, disgusted feeling. Another weird thing is that I did a speed run of FNAF Security Breach where you go out of bounds and I'm totally fine with it. Same with a lot of games. I can glitch games, but I don't like games glitching in certain ways. No. Some of the time. I believe it is called versophobia. I also have this other kind of uncomfortable feeling when looking at Google Maps sometimes. Like I genuinely cannot use Google Maps on my PC, only barely on my phone. Forget about Google Earth on most days. The worst decision I ever made was to play Google Earth VR. You can zoom into the Earth and look at it as a whole and move around. It really freaked me out and I had to turn off the game straight away. Some weird things, though, are I can play GeoGuessr completely fine for the most part. And when I am watching a video or someone using Google Maps or Google Earth, it's totally fine. Does anyone else have these kinds of fears?
Phobia of something flying towards me while not visually moving. Extremely hard to explain, but for example, in Minecraft, if something is like flying towards me at any speed without visually moving, like flapping or anything visually causing the flying, it freaks me out pretty badly. Anyone else? Or any better way to describe it?
Wondering if anyone else has a phobia of small lights or electronics in the dark, smoke detectors, TV lights, fans. Since I was little, I've always been super afraid of blinking lights, especially in the dark. It's some psychological thing where it feels like it's watching me. It was a nightly occurrence for me to anxiously run past the smoke detector as fast as possible. I also had anxiety about TV stereo lights, the little red or green ones that blink. It just feels so creepy. Sometimes electric fans too, when they're on the setting that makes them move right to left. I used to also be scared of ceiling fans because they looked like a person, long legs and arms and one long head. My anxiety would only go away once I turned them on so that I couldn't see the blades or whatever staring at me while I slept.
Phobia of electrical lights underwater. Does anyone else have a fear of electrical lighting underwater? I'm not really talking about pool lights. I'm weirdly fine with those. It's more about lighting in murky water in a deep pond, lake, or in the open ocean. I'll have to psych myself up to get into the water if there's any kind of electric light nearby. Here's a picture of the kind of BS I'm talking about. I hate everything about this stupid picture. Don't click if you think you have the same thing. But yeah, does this have a name or any tips on how to reduce the fear? It's probably related to thalassophobia, but having an electrical light under the water just makes it 1,000 times worse for me. Looking at those pictures of nuclear reactor pools with Cherenkov radiation also has the same effect on me. Stresses me right out. Thank you.
You're welcome. And this concludes another riveting episode of our show. It's your turn to like, subscribe, and enable that notification bell. Because honestly, there's nothing more scary than the thought that someone out there isn't gonna know when we upload our next video. So go on, make your mama proud. Until we meet again.